For the last several years, I've seen a lot of talk online about the death of the small-scale arena shooter. The yearly releases from Call of Duty continue to see poor player retention after hot initial releases, at least relative to the glory days of the franchise, and even critically acclaimed titles like Halo Infinite have suffered from dwindling player bases and spotty developer support. I find all this very interesting because, to me, I don't think arena shooters are dying due to what is presented as a lack of interest in the genre. I think there's just been a lack of interesting, well-made titles for a long time, at least on the arcade side of things. And that brings me to the game I have here today. Titanfall 2 is among my all-time favorites in FPS, and to me, it's honestly one of the best, most complete games ever made in the FPS genre. It features an absolutely excellent, if somewhat brief, single-player experience, and an extremely fun multiplayer side, with gameplay mechanics that completely changed the genre. It spawned Apex Legends, the battle royale from the same developer and taking place in the same world. And I think it even contributed to the mass appetite for very fast shooters with movement mechanics over the last couple of years, with games like Battlefield and Call of Duty implementing extremely similar, if toned down, mobility. On top of the mover-shooter emphasis, Titanfall 2 features AI filling out the matches, a technique fully embraced by modern FPS games and one of the most heavily marketed aspects of Warzone 2 and DMZ, yet again showing how far ahead of its time Titanfall 2 was. Throw in the giant mech suit fighting to really help change the pace of the game, and it's easy to see why the vast majority of people who have played this hold it so close to their hearts. All of this stands opposite of Titanfall 2's difficult circumstances financially, and the game has had a rough time since its release in 2016. It released 1 week after Battlefield 1, a juggernaut that is still heavily played to this day and praised as one of the best entries in the franchise. A week later, Call of Duty released a game, and it was difficult for Titanfall 2 to really find its footing between these two behemoths, especially since its predecessor had been an Xbox and PC exclusive, meaning that a lot of PlayStation players may not have even thought of Titanfall 2 as a possibility, a platform that has always lacked FPS options. Despite this, it retained a dedicated player base, at least until the pandemic when it saw DDoS attacks making the multiplayer completely unplayable unless you were willing to endure the tedium of setting up a modded way to launch the game, similar to things like IW4X and H1 mod for older Call of Duty titles. The DDoS attack is gone now though, and the game is still selling on Steam right now for an astonishing 90% off, making the US price just $3. It still looks incredible and plays better than any arcade FPS that has released since its launch, and it performs great. While the content may be a little thin compared to modern standards, I do still think everything there is of great quality. With all of this being said, every time I hear people talking about the death of the arena FPS, that people only want battle royale and extraction shooters, I would just point them in the direction of Titanfall 2. It's not that there's no appetite for arena shooters anymore. It's that there aren't any arena shooters so full of life, passion, and inspiration anymore. If you're someone who feels tired of the recent crop of arcade FPS games from the last couple of years and you haven't tried Titanfall 2, or even if you just haven't tried it in a long time, I implore you to give it a try. They just don't make them like they used to. And that about does it for me, and I want to hear from all of you. Have you played either of the Titanfall games? Are you thinking of picking it up with this really steep discount? Let me know in the comments below. This game really is near and dear to my heart, and I love talking about it. I'm just so thankful that it can be easily enjoyed again. With that, leave a like or a dislike, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Hostile Titans. I suggest defensive maneuvers. Under 3 to 1, we must uphold the mission, pilot. Pilot disengaged. Friendly Titan attacking your target. Warning, detecting major hull damage. Upgrading to stage 1. Multiple Titans are attacking. I suggest defensive maneuvers.
Come on, let's leave them in the dust. Dominating like a true 6-4.
Warning. Major damage sustained.
You are dominating. You almost got your Titan. Keep fighting. Titan ready. Call it any time, pilot. Stand by for Titanfall. Impressive. Good to have you on the 6-4, pilot.
Targeting to engage enemy Titan. Critical damage. Advise taking cover. Friendly unit down. Keep your weapon armed, pilot. Hostile down. Warning. Heavy damage sustained.
They aren't winning by much. Take them out, 6-4.
Pilot control initiated. Link confirmed. Warning. Multiple enemy pilots.
You are dominating.
Enemies caution. Hostile unit on board. Battery loss imminent. Requesting assistance. Upgrade code. Stage 1.
Nice triple kill. Way to knock them all out. We lost. Get out of there, 6-4. Get to the evac point.